Good morning, everyone. If I may have your attention, please. I'm so sorry to interrupt your ice-breaking session, but if you just spare me a few minutes, I just wanted to give you a preamble as to what we hope to achieve today. To begin with, Assalamu alaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Peace be upon you all. My name is Faiz Edwin Ignatius. I am part of the panel, the seniors panel today. I will be the panel head, together with my esteemed colleagues who will be part of this panel. And as I introduce them, I hope you can give them a warm support, your warm support. First and foremost, without in no order of merit, is Mr. Abdul Hamid Abdullah. Mr. Hamid. These are my panel members who will act as facilitators as well. Mr. Hamid needs no introduction. He's the founding member and past chairman of AMP. In his past life, he was the audit director of the Auditor General's office. And now, in his new life, he's a lifestyle coach of Golden Age. So very apt for him to be here. Next, in no order of merit, is Ms. Normala Manap. Ms. Normala is the Director of Age Matters Consultancy and Training. Very, very experienced person who hopefully will be able to help us, take us through this. Next, we have Dr. Noor Farhan Alami. She's a dietitian with the Raffles Medical Group. And last but not least is Ms. Siti Maria Muhammad Salim. Siti? Is she here? Oh, yes, she's right, the other right-hand corner. She's a board member of AMP, and in her private life, she's a therapist, private space. She's also multitasking. She's a candidate for Masters of Arts in Art Therapy at the LaSalle College of Arts. So very esteemed colleagues we have today. I hope that today's session will be enlightening. Let us not kid ourselves. We are not here to AMP, or rather. This purpose of this convention is not to put forth the ideas and then expect you to endorse it, as Mr. Hazni, the Vice Chair, had earlier shared. This convention and why you are in these breakout groups is for us to start talking, to come up to identify the issues, and more importantly, if we can find solutions, well and good, but that's not the end game of finding solutions. Really, the value in all of this is get conversations going, creating awareness, letting the community, as leaders in the community, as agents of change, we hope that you can bring forth this notion of looking into the issue of elder care, the seniors. As you know, Singapore is an aging population. All of us will be able to pinpoint the issues that we will face. But how do we go about it? That's really, and is it all coordinated? It seems to be very fragmented. Everybody has an own idea of how the elder care, the seniors segment is to be managed, but we can't really have a very coordinated approach. We don't want to get ahead of ourselves. Let's just start with the Muslim community. This is one area, one segment of the community in Singapore that really we need to start thinking about it. Because as you can imagine, the Muslim community, differing views, how managing of their elder care is being coordinated, being carried out. All of us have our different views. So the idea of today is for us to start conversations, to put out the issues on the table. And inshallah, we will deal with issues or be advocates of the ideas that we bring forth today, so that there may be agencies out there, there may be individuals out there who will take note of the findings today or your thoughts today, and then carry on the conversation and bring it forth to a next level. We have identified three areas where we thought would be helpful to stimulate the thought process today. The previous one, oh, I'm sorry, okay. I wanted to go to this slide later about the findings, but I wanted to identify the problems that we've talked about. So if you just pardon me skipping to the first, there are three problem statements we have identified. But I want to stress to you that it is by no means the be-all and end-all of the problems or the issues. These are just three which we feel that we will want to focus on today. Of course, there is a fourth problem statement, if I can call it a problem, and that would be today for you to bring up. There may be issues that are outside of the three that we have mentioned. Just give you a snapshot before I expound on it a little bit in detail. And the third of filial piety. So before we go into these three problem statements, how did we arrive at this? And this is what we discovered in our findings. We, apart from brainstorming some of the issues that we had amongst our panel members, we also got in touch with practitioners on the ground, individuals or entities that run the facilities, manage elder care. And we put together our findings. They are, in summary, just four here. Of course, there are more to it. There's more to it than that. But out of these four, as you can see, the first is the awareness that we have realized that the aging issues in the community are recognized, but yet we're not very sure how we should address them. There are also issues with the existing senior care facilities. As you know, there are institutions or there are entities that are already in existence, but how well suited and catered they are catered for the Muslim community. As you can see, some of the findings, the reasons why it's deemed as perhaps lacking or there's a gap, and these are some of the reasons, as you can see. Maybe not catered more to the Muslim community, facilities are costly, it's not near to their homes, etc. Which brings us to the next finding, which you all can resonate with. Seniors being in these facilities may feel alienated to a certain extent because there may be a lack of awareness by the administrators in terms of the cultural and religious needs of not just the Muslim community, maybe of minorities as well. And last but not least, how the mosque can play a role in this entire sector. The notion of filial piety, as we found that earlier in Vice Chairman Hasni's speech, filial piety seems to be one of the virtues of the Islamic faith. But there is a stigma surrounding it in the sense that if you look at other sources to take care of your elderly folk, are you labeled or branded as not being filial? But there is an urgent need for us to recognize that you still could be filial, but you may not be equipped to deal with the issues of the elderly. So this is perhaps the mosque being the focal point of the Islamic faith and the Muslim community can help to destigmatize this notion that we have. So this is some of the areas that we want to explore. Let me expound a little bit on the problem statements. The first question which you are expected to look at. The community is aware of the issues. So what are the resources that seniors as well as caregivers are aware of? That's one. And what can be done more to ensure that these resources are fully utilized? The existing resources as well as resources that are lacking. The next issue we'd like to look at is the current facilities that are in place now. Does it cater sufficiently to the needs of the Muslim community? What is your perception? How prepared are these facilities dealing with the needs of the Muslim elders that they serve? I mean, of course, the next issue of what are the specific needs that Muslim elders have is quite straightforward. It can be easily, but how do we ensure that it is catered to? And lastly, as I mentioned about filial piety, how can institutions, Muslim institutions, even the Muslim organizations help to address this issue of the concept of filial piety and the influence that individuals have in dealing with this virtue? What we want to achieve today, the process in which we hope to have these conversations going, apart from looking at the findings, we also want to look at the problem identification and see if we can find solutions to this. Not so much of you whether you agree or disagree, but how we can generate ideas to overcome some of these issues. As I mentioned, these three issues are just what has been identified for us to kickstart this conversation. But certainly feel free to raise other issues which you feel that this sector of the community or the aging issues can generate that are not included in our problem identification. Just gives you a snapshot of the healthcare landscape in Singapore. These are some of the entities that are very immersed in dealing with elder care issues. As some of you may be aware, there is an agency for integrated care. It's a statutory board. They are the forefront of managing aging issues in Singapore. Are these agencies dealing with issues that are specifically catered or can cater to the Muslim community? And then, of course, we have the community care sectors. Now, this gives you an idea of what's already out there. But beyond these entities that look into these issues, there's also the role that each of us can play. Now, while there are entities set up to cater to these needs or these requirements, but you and I, that's the very purpose of why you and I are here. There's obviously a reason why you've either signed up to take part in this particular segment, which is the seniors panel, because all of us are affected by it in one way or the other. You may be by age defined as a senior, so that affects you directly. And then you are a caregiver. Why are you a caregiver? Because you are a filial son or a daughter. You have elderly folk to deal with. As I mentioned, all of us are affected. Many have thought that signing up for the seniors panel, you have to be a senior to be in that panel. But as you look around the room today, we have quite a diverse group. We have individuals who are much, much younger. So, and they are they are practitioners. So I'm hoping that if you are in a group where you are a practitioner and you have a colleague who's also working in the same sector, perhaps you could move into another group so that your ideas and your sharing of practical situations on the ground or challenges on the ground could be better, and you could better enlighten the rest of the group. So if you take a look around, I know we've left it very open into how you're grouped. It's not engineered, right? You just start at tables at your own kakis and all that, right? So if you just look around and see, would it be better if you help to share your expertise and your knowledge around? I think it's going to be a bit hard, huh? Looking at your faces, I think very hard to ask you to, can you change places? Everybody seems to be very comfortable. But I'm not going to dictate the proceedings today, so I'll leave it to you. If you feel that you could help to enlighten or share, then perhaps you may want to switch groups as well. Now, how are we going to conduct this session today? Well, just give you a little idea. I will be the discipline master today. I'm sorry to add. Discipline master in the sense that I will be more of a timekeeper to bring individuals back to the issues at hand. That's one. And more importantly, keeping a very strong watch on the timings. Ideally, this ice-breaking session should have taken about 10 minutes. We are really way behind schedule because we started a bit late. Today, to reflect on the problem statements will take about 30 minutes, ideally, 30 minutes. And then coming up with solutions will take about 40 minutes. And then we'll leave the last 10 minutes to reflect on the personas or add on new personas that you feel that outside of the three issues, there may be other issues that are burning and need to be addressed. As you can see on the screen now, these are the house rules. I think I need not elaborate, but I think mutual respect will go a long way today. So we can agree to disagree. I trust that we can have a very fruitful discussion and respect each other's views, giving everyone an opportunity rather, to share what's on your mind and how they can contribute to this very important sector. So without further ado, I will not want to hold back proceedings. I wish you a very fruitful morning, but let's try to be focused because time is really of an essence today and a very important commodity today. So let's keep this focus. I thank you very much on behalf of my panel members for your time today, for being here. If you look around the room, we have many esteemed individuals who have contributed much, but nobody's contribution is too small today. So thank you very much, and I wish you a very fruitful morning ahead. Thank you. Okay. I'd now like to hand over to Ms. Siti Mariam, who will chair the panel session. Siti, thank you.
Okay, thank you, Faiz. On stage here, I have all our senior panel members. First of all, can I get you to take out your devices? We have a Slido question for us to poll. Okay, the question is, how can Singapore Muslims be better prepared to enter old age? Okay, so this is a word cloud. So you enter one or two words, a short phrase, if you can. Okay, the passcode is there. I think you can enter more than one time. So the stronger words that's coming out, the recurrent words: faith, planning, health, finances. Okay, awareness at early start is coming out. Exploring CPF. Sorry, we can't see from. Okay, enough CPF. Okay, all right. So faith. I'm going to open up the conversation now. Okay, in terms of, well, let's just take the faith and the health at this moment. So, what do we mean by faith? How can faith play a part in terms of better preparation to enter old age? I open this conversation to members on the floor and also for our panel members as well. If you like to speak, please put out your hand and we'll pass you a mic.
Maybe I can just open. In terms of faith, maybe whoever, it seems like there's a high vote, right? But maybe whoever put faith, you can explain a little bit more. Because based on my experience with seniors on the ground, faith is the big one everybody has. So, but that doesn't solve a lot of problems. So I'm just curious.
So I was lucky enough in my group to have Ustad. I think Ustad is going to talk. But every time we talk about faith and mosque, then we turn to Ustad. Yeah, the mosque should do this, the mosque should do that. Yeah, so poor Ustad was under fire in my group at least.
So Ustad would like to speak something. Yes, we can arrow him. Okay.
Assalamualaikum. So I need to say something like, so faith is just not about the belief, but actually it's the actions. So when they are entering old age, they think like, how do I pray when I sit down? How do I take my wudu? And the caregivers too, they're thinking like, how they actually can assist them. So it's actually about their practices, how they do it together, I mean by themselves, and how the caregivers can actually assist in that. So that's why one of the things that I place there is the fiqh for seniors. What is fiqh for seniors? That actually anything about the fiqh, about their ibadah, we take from the books, from the hadith and everything, and then compile them. So to make it easy for the caregivers and the seniors. So how do they fast? And those, okay, I just maybe mention some like those who wear the bag, right? Yeah, some seniors actually, they don't want to come to the mosque because of the najis that they are holding. So it can, how you can solve that? So that will be part of the faith for seniors. How to pray on, I mean, when you are lying down, okay, how the caregivers can assist to take wudu. And all those things, all the puasa, even actually part of it is so going to Umrah. We see old age, I mean, they go for Umrah. But the father, the senior father, went with two daughters and they are separated. So how? Actually, the Jama'ah can become the caregivers, or not only the pegawai, because the pegawai need to take care of all. But then how about the seniors? Yeah, those seniors, more of them get lost at Masjid al-Haram or Masjid Nabawi even. Yes, so that's also an issue. So I think that's about it. And also talking about the mosques in Singapore, how they can actually play a part. Okay, not only giving the, okay, talking about the facilities, what can mosques actually contribute. Okay, and also how the younger generation, okay, the Malay Muslim younger generation, not only from madrasah but also the community at large, understand the need of the seniors and how they actually can be well prepared to be the caregivers for the seniors, Malay Muslim seniors. Okay, that's all from me.
Thank you. Anybody else would like to add to that point, please? Any other aspect of faith that we should be looking at?
Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. When we talk about faith, well, this is just my personal view. we should not just focus on religious faith. All right? I mean, it has to do with Islamic faith and so forth. But it is the belief that you are well prepared for the old age in terms of your mindset. The faith in yourself, the confidence in yourself, the faith that you have in dealing with what you have to deal with in your old age. So it's not so much about the religious faith as such, but faith in the sense that you are confident, you are prepared to handle the challenges in the old age. I'm talking more about the mindset. Yeah. Thank you.
Anything else to add about faith? If not, I will move on about health. So how can Singapore Muslims be better prepared to enter old age in terms of health? What are we talking about when we talk about health?
There's somebody at the back. Maybe we give him an opportunity.
Doctor, you go ahead first. Yeah.
Okay, so health, Ustad gave the example of pergi Umrah. So recently, I had a patient who went for Umrah, and it's very challenging now, in a way of how the mosque has grown and trying to find father who had dementia. So father got lost multiple times, and it was very challenging for them to look after him. And then they decided, okay, this is not good. He should come and see a doctor. So as soon as they touched down, within a week they appeared in my clinic space. So it was very interesting because I tried to ask the wife about how was that before Umrah? How was that a year ago? How was that 5 years ago? And then I realized that the history wasn't flowing because she didn't seem to know. She didn't seem to know much about how her husband was coping before he went for the trip, which was very strange because, as I'm sure we have wives and we have husbands here who know each other very well. So I realized later when they stepped out of the door that they've been married for 3 years, and this man was 78 years old. So when we talk about health, we talk about mental health, the dementia, we talk about physical health. We should also talk about sexual health and giving people opportunity to live their life in the fullest and destigmatize, like a second chance in love at least. So I realized when the history didn't go well that I had ageism, that I wasn't open to this idea of like, this partnership is new. As in, I've never had a situation, and so I was not prepared to be able to tweak my questions. So that's my idea in terms of health. It's not just mental, physical, it's emotional, it's sexual, it's everything. Health is all-encompassing.
Yeah, thank you. I think I wanted just to provide extension to Doctor's point. By the way, my name is Shazwan. I chose to be here. I could have been in the youth room. But I think I have a stake in this because I have also aging parents and also grandparents who are still alive. So whenever I visit them, COVID was a difficult period, right, with lockdown and whatnot. So when things opened up, we managed to be there for them even more. I saw some changes in the style of interaction. So after COVID, or we're still in COVID, but after CB, now they are a bit more how do I say this? They are very insular, or they no longer want to meet people, and I see that has an effect or they feel that people don't want to visit them anymore. People are a bit more restrictive and whatnot. So that's one. In terms of preparing for old age, the kind of interaction and support that other relatives and family members can provide for the elders. You mentioned something about emotional, even sexual needs. They might not say it, but I think that's what they also call out for. But they don't say it. Maybe because of the standing in the family as the elder statesman in the family, so they feel that they don't need to show that kind of vulnerabilities. But when you talk to them, you can sense it out. The other thing about, the first point about faith, some elders don't go to the mosque anymore, right? Because of the circumstance. So some of them still have deep-seated regrets for what they did in their life. So when I speak to my grandparents and whatnot, anecdotally they say, there are a lot of regrets. But is there any sort of support or people who are experts in that who could give the proper advice So I mean, we learn a year, but beyond that, there's not so much I think I can do lah beyond that. So those will be some of my points. Those are not answers, but those are things I just wanted to share, like my observations in between a youth and a senior, and how we can kind of close that gap. Yeah, Allah Alam. Thank you.
I'm going to do something. Yes. The mic is coming to you.
Thank you. My name is Ismail. The issue here is how can you prepare yourself for your old age? Meaning that you are not old now, but you need to prepare for your old age. That's the main issue. So in terms of health, this will be the issues of the old age. So you need to prepare yourself on health to prepare for your old age. So what are those issues in health? I think number one is we are very concerned about getting sick. Our community, I think if you look at it from the national perspective, we suffered the most in all the illnesses. We're talking about obesity, we're talking about diabetes, talking about heart problems, we're talking about blood pressure, and so on. We are among the highest within the community. So I think health is so important as we transition into becoming old. And I think it is good to know what to prepare in terms of health when we grow old.
Would you like to respond first to that? No. Okay, I'm Fuzia. I'd like to throw in a word here that's normally not associated with old age: empowerment. We tend to focus on what the elderly cannot do, but we can also focus on what they can do. There are many very productive elderly people in our community. So if we focus on the skills and experience and expertise they have to themselves still contribute to the development of the well-being of other elderly who may not be as well off as themselves, I think we have this pool of resources, manpower, that we can rely on, and not just look outside of old folks, to look at who can do things for them. So it's about empowerment as well. Just to kickstart this.
Just in response to this about health and Ismail's point, I just want to bring a little bit of perspective, because if you look at WHO also don't look at health just as health. It looks at health in terms of across all its social determinants. That means, things like your economic, your finances, your environment, your social network, all impact on health. So I really think that if we look at health, we also need to look at all those other things. And I really second the call for looking at don't just look at seniors in terms of what they need and as frail and all that, but there are a lot of empowered seniors. But my call is for all the empowered seniors, at least in the house, in the room, to, then you be the voices, because the senior community really need these voices, to turn around the perception about aging. Ageism, as the good doctors say, is real.
Okay, I'm going to do something different now. I'm going to ask in general. Okay, basically, I'm just going to bring up the issue about health in terms of an empowerment as well. Okay, how many of us at this point in time in our life, should anything happen to you? Okay, inshallah, not immediately. Okay, slowly we'll be aging gracefully. Okay, but should anything happen to you, critically ill, how confident are you your next of kin know what you want? How many of you are confident? If you look around the room, okay, in terms of, let's say, for example, you can no longer speak. You're going to need a lot of care. All right? You cannot tell your family member what you want already at that point in time. You need somebody to look after you. Maybe you might be even, being close to death. Right? What kind of care you want, how you like to be cared for, who you like to care for you. Okay? How confident are you, your next of kin, your loved one, your nearest one who knows you well, really knows what are your wishes? Confidently come. And let's look around inside the room. That's less than half. Right? So in terms of talking about empowering, okay, we actually are currently, when we are well, do we even take this opportunity to even think about what kind of, aging do we want, and should we need care? What kind of care do we want? Right? I think in my group, we actually have this conversation about, having this open dialogue about, parents seem to expect, when I'm at this age, when I need care, I think my children will know what to do for me. Right? I know, and I think they will take care of me. But how many of us, as children, can fulfill the exact wishes? How about having this conversation? Is it easy? I used to be a medical social worker. I often have these statements thrown to me. Not the age yet lah. Why are we talking about this? I'm not there yet. Why is this so important? Or tawakal. Somehow somebody would know what to do for me. How are we confident? Okay, I'm going to open to the floor for comments.
Assalamualaikum. Saya Fauzi. Just recently being famous for rancangan Detik. Thank you to Mediacorp for the coverage. So I'm here to talk about the senior. Cik Alim, apa khabar Cik Alim? Okay, so actually saya rasa bersyukur kerana ada badan yang ambil risau tentang masyarakat kita, tentang sebenarnya bukan entering old age lah. Semua orang akan mengetua, tapi macam mana kita nak menghadapi orang-orang tua yang ketuaannya lah. Dan sama kita yang muda ni adalah kita bersiap sedia tak? Kerana saya lebih concern tentang caregiver. Kerana orang yang menjaga orang tua. Kerana kalau kita tua, siapa nak jaga? Jadi kita perlukan ilmu supaya kita faham. Bila kita tua nanti, bila orang yang jaga kita tu, macam mana kepayahan yang akan mereka hadapi. Jadi untuk caregiver tu, berapa banyak pengetahuan yang dia tahu untuk dia menghadapi cabaran menjaga orang tua. Dan siapa yang akan mendukung, menyokong dan mengongsi ilmu untuk dia siapkan diri untuk menjaga orang tua. Kerana dalam segi on the big picture lah. Kerana ini adalah satu pasaran bagi untuk kita masyarakat Melayu profesional. Pasaran untuk menangani masalah orang tua. Kerana dekat sini masa tadi saya pun rasa tertarik. Ustaz tak ada Tadi Ustaz ada cakap pasal ilmu tentang penjagaan orang tua, tentang macam mana persiapan orang tua untuk beribadah. Macam tadi doktor pun cakap macam mana nak menangani jemaah pergi umrah dalam ni. Ini semua adalah pasaran. Macam mana kita boleh menyedok. Kerana bila kita cakap pasaran, kita ada membukakan pekerjaan, peluang pekerjaan pada masyarakat kita. Kerana dalam isu kesihatan, when you talk about health, kan tadi kita cakap faith, macam mana ilmu kita ada untuk kita beribadah dengan sempurna, dengan lebih khusyuk, dengan lebih yakin yang kita punya ibadah terima kerana kita dah bersih. Macam tadi, macam mana kalau kita dah buang air. Maaf kalau saya ambil masa sikit. Pasal saya rasa saya rasa teruja lah. Ini platform adalah macam mana kita nak, macam mana saya boleh kongsikan kerisauan kita tentang masyarakat kita masa depan. Kerana banyak yang kita rasa masyarakat kita ke belakang. Tadi tentang kesihatan. Ini adalah satu cabang mana kita boleh buka. Macam mana kita nak menjaga orang tua kita dengan lebih yakin. Kerana kita bukan jaga tentang fizik dia supaya dia sihat. Dia boleh berjalan masa-masa dia jatuh, waktu dia lemah. Ataupun dia boleh bersenyum semula selepas dia mengalami stroke. Kita macam mana kita nak menangani supaya kita tak jadi anak yang derhaka. Kerana banyak kita risau, tapi mana kita nak dapat tu ilmu? Mana ada sokongan yang boleh dapat bantu kita? Kerana kita kalau setakat kita risau sendiri, kita ada macam ibaratnya dalam kita punya pelukan lah. Kan kita punya rangkuman. Tapi kalau kita risau dari segi masyarakat, kita ramai-ramai akan mencurahkan idea atau bukakan peluang macam mana masalah kita sama-sama menanganilah insyaAllah. Ya, sekian.
Thank you. Okay, I'm going to summarize for the sake of those who don't speak Malay. Help me, correct me, and also help me to add on if I missed out. So basically, your main concern is the spotlight on caregivers, right? How can we help support caregivers to be better caregivers and they take care of themselves and also prepare for themselves when they age, right?
What I mean is our topic, entering the old age. We are going there, but what is the backup? Who is carrying us? Who is supporting us? Who is carrying us to that level? When we are sick, who is caring for us? And we also to have the understanding, the knowledge. When we are sick, how people care for us. Because now we are appreciating nurse. We have a nursing day to care for the patient. How much the nurses have knowledge to take care of the patient. Now we are the caregiver. We are like nurses. We are like doctors. We are like heart and soul taking for our valued elderly. Sorry.
Thank you. You want to say something?
Yeah, I think caregiving, I just have 2 points to share. One is that it's very difficult. It's, I think, probably the hardest job in the world. And I'm a mother of 5 kids, so I caregive 5 children. I'm really sort of spent. But looking after someone with dementia, for example, or an old person with disability, it's different from the mothering cycle because these are not children. And in my experience, I deal with caregivers every day, and everybody feels alone. Everybody feels that there's something wrong with them. They're always guilty. I'm not good enough. I'm not patient enough. I don't know how to do this. I'm not resourceful enough. And I wish that they would reach out and see that there are many, many caregivers in the community, and all of them feel alone. And it's so difficult to say, okay, join this caregiver support group, because very often they are not Malay Muslim. Even if you have a talk about caregiving in Malay, for example, it will not be filled. So I think it's on all of us, right, to reach out, to make connection. And I have a lot of active caregivers whose parent has passed on, but they come out as advocates. So I think we all are responsible.
Can I invite anybody else on the floor to add on? Jamit, would you like to say something about caregivers?
I don't know what to say. I don't. This term caregiver, in fact, all of us will be caregivers. My mother is 89 years old. She's staying alone at Chai Chi. So I asked her, would you like to come and stay with us? With me, me and my family. And she said, no. You have your own family, you have your children, you have your wife, you have your responsibilities. So I told my mom, why do you say like that? Because she said, I'm able to take care of myself. I'm healthy, but you're alone. Don't you feel lonely? No, I have, just a call away. If I need your help, I will call you. Now, I'm not going to brag about this, but her example is not the norm. How many mothers are like that? So I asked myself, why do you have that kind of mindset? Because you said, when I was young, he go through, he's a single mother. I come from a divorced family. My parents were separated, and she brought it up. And I agree with Fuzia, she has the empowerment, She will do what it takes to be financially dependent. In other words, she prepared well for her old age. She had the idea that I'm not going to stay myself, that I will be dependent on my children when I'm old age. So I think we have come to an age at this stage where I could see there's changes in the norms and attitudes of the younger generation. They are not probably prepared to take care of their aging parents. They look forward to institutions to provide the kind of sort of caregiving that is needed, because they themselves are very busy with their own working commitments and so forth. So, but our community do not have that structure to support in terms of caregiving. All right, we still leave to the children, to take care, and everyone is actually fending for themselves. Am I doing the right thing or not? I think, Norma, you may have something to say.
I don't even know where to start. I mean, I think everybody knows that we don't have enough services, and then the services out there is not culturally appropriate. People have brought this up. So there's a lot of work that we need to do for the caregivers, but also for the seniors. So actually, I've not been involved with many of the Muslim organizations for a long time, but somehow someone found me on LinkedIn. Someone in AMP asked me if I wanted to be involved in the planning for this convention, and immediately I said yes, because I've been trying to advocate for the Muslim agencies to take on aging on their agenda for a long, long time. So I'm so happy to see that this has started. I mean, I know Jamia has been doing some work and Petapis is doing some work, but it's not enough. And I think, this is a start. And what actually the main call that I want to make is for all the Muslim agencies to work together on all levels, not, in terms of getting the resources, in terms of building the competency, in terms of seeing how we can raise awareness, because I think now we are working too much on our own in silos. And this problem aging is a big issue. I mean, you know this already, I don't have to go to it, but really we need to collaborate, we need to work with strong partnership. That would be what I would ask us all to do for the caregivers and for the seniors.
Anybody has any last words? Yes, last words,
Hello. Okay, I'm a caregiver of my own mother-in-law, and I was a caregiver to my late parents. I wrote that strengthen social support network, the importance of the informal social support as well as the formal support network. So when I was taking care of my late parents, I attend caregiver support group. We rely on each other for resources. They will tell me where to get cheap diapers, milk feeds, and stuff like that. So we have a network where we keep in touch. We not only provide physical support, but mental support, mental health support. So I told my kids through my advanced care planning that if anything were to happen to me, these are the things that you need to look out for and how you can care for me and stuff like that. So how I prepare, how I better prepare to enter old age is, I know I have a few support network here and there. I need to strengthen that so that when I go through a few years down the road and I need support, there are people out there that I can rely on. I don't have to start from scratch. I already know they are there. I've strengthened it, and we will provide mutual support to each other. Financially, I want to be independent. Just like your mother, I also want to live alone if anything happened to my husband. But we want to be independent of our children. And besides financially being prepared, having your own social support network, mental health is also very important. So I learned how to handle stress better, self-care, because I'm also a professional, and work is sometimes very, can be killing. So if you are better prepared mentally and physically now, inshallah, with our faith, strong faith in Allah, we will pull this through together as a family. Yeah. But at the same time, for the convention, the voice of the elderly, the seniors, I think Mala mentioned that many times, right? We need to empower them. They have very strong voice that is not heard. It's only heard within them, in their own small group. We need to draw that. And in future convention, if we can manage to bring this group of people, their voices to be heard, it will be even a more interesting dialogue. Yeah, thank you.
Thank you. Okay, I pass it back to you, Faiz. We actually have another question. Unfortunately, because of time, we will have to end here. We thank you so much for your patience and for your contribution, your ideas, your stories. I think these are very, very important because for I think almost every one of us, or if not everyone, this is a very personal issue. Yeah, we still have opportunity for you to continue on this conversation. There is the online forum that's going on that you can still contribute your ideas and your suggestions. Thank you very much. Okay. Thank you for the panel members. Right now, you can actually adjourn for lunch, which is held outside on the my right, your left. Be back here by 2 o'clock. Okay. Thank you.